Hi there guys, Bren here, and today I'm going to tell you about 3 things that you can do straight away from today to stop using the scales to measure your weight loss results. So the reason being is that some people are really motivated by what the scales say. I am, for example, if I'm trying to lose weight or I've got any goals, it actually motivates me quite a lot. So, I'm pretty good to jump on the scales fairly often to see how I'm going. But some people, it does their head in. And, there's pros and cons for everything. And, it just depends on where you're at. But for this purpose, we're just going to assume that getting on the scales a lot is not really helping your results. But you do need, it's really important to have some sort of benchmarking system to see if what you're trying to do is actually working. So, is your nutrition plan working? Is your exercise plan working? The only way you're going to know that is by measuring your success or failure in some way. So, here's 3 things you can do instead of using the scales to measure your weight loss results. So, number 1 is measurements. Okay, so whatever you can measure, you can manage. Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to take measurements in key areas of your body, and I'll pop up a second video down below this post showing you how to do some measurements on your body, where to do them and what to watch out for, etc. But basically you want to measure your chest at around about nipple line, or the biggest part of your chest. You want to measure your waist, so pick out your waist. You want to measure your belly button. You want to measure your hips, hip measurement, your thighs, your arms. So, the more measurements you can take, the better, because sometimes you might move a little bit of weight off your waist, but not so much off your chest, or vice versa. You might not move so much off your arms or legs, but you might move a fair bit off your belly button. So you want to because it's going to happen in different stages, guys. So you want to be making sure you're checking to making sure that you're actually getting some results. Now, you can also use your clothes as a measurement barometer. So, if you want to set a goal, you might actually pick out a little black dress that you want to fit into, or that you have fit into in the past, or something like that, and just try that on and see how you're going. So try it on, do what you got to do with your exercise and nutrition, then come back to it in a month and try that on again, and see if you've made some progress, if it feels a little bit different, or if you actually fit into it. So measuring your body as a means of testing your weight loss. Number 2, you've heard the old saying, if you watch the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves. So I'm sure your grandparents told you that. So what that means to weight loss is focusing on the method and the means rather than the end result. So for example, if you were to set yourself a goal of losing 20 kilos, and the 20 kilos loss is hard work in anyone's book. So you might set yourself a goal of 20 kilos in 12 months, and that's probably a reasonable goal for most people. So if you were to set that goal and you get to the end of 12 months and you've only lost 19, you might actually be disappointed that you actually only lost 19, when 19 kilos in 12 months is an awesome result. So, if you're focusing on that end goal all the time, and you've got this number in your head, and it's I'm going to lose so much this week, or so much this month, or so much this year, and you don't get there, you're going to be bitterly disappointed. So maybe what you need to do is focus on the actual methods. Yeah, so instead of setting this big goal of 20 kilos in 12 months, etc., you might set some smaller goals. So your smaller goals might be, I'm going to commit to exercise every second day this week. So I'm going to get 4 workouts in at the gym. I'm going to do 3 workouts as in walking on the other day. So I'm going to do some exercise every single day. So 30 minutes exercise, planned exercise every day. And that's your commitment. That's your goal. That's your promise to yourself. So you do your 30 minutes activity a day. Then you're going to aim for a 7-day streak on your eating plan. So you're going to lay it out. You've got your nutrition plan there. You're going to record everything in your diary or your MyFitnessPal or whatever you're using to record your nutrition plan. And you tick it off, and day by day, you're going to tick it off the calendar. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, 6 day, 7 day. You hit a 7-day streak. Okay, and then you do it again and you hit another 7-day streak, and then all of a sudden you're counting up 7-day streaks. How many 7-day streaks can I get? And you know what? You miss a day, you miss a 7-day streak. That's cool. Start again. Do another 7-day streak. So you're aiming for 30 minutes exercise a day and aiming for as many 7-day streaks as you can get onto. The other thing you could do is promise to celebrate the wins that you have. So you pat yourself on the back and make sure that your self-talk is about congratulating yourself when you do get your exercise goals and nutrition goals met. So you're looking after your mindset, your exercise and nutrition. Now, what do you think is going to happen to you if you're doing your exercise the way you're supposed to, you're following the eating plan the way you're supposed to, and you've got a real healthy mindset? Of course you're going to lose weight. So that's going to be your goal. You're going to get your big goal just by focusing. So focusing on those little things every day is going to get you to the big goal in the long run. Number 3, and final way that you can measure your results without using the bathroom scales, is look for alternative methods other than the bathroom scales. So we all know that you can go to Harris Scarfe and you can buy $50 scales, and they're quite good quality, and that's all great. But they're just bathroom scales. You know, they're not scientific instruments. They are what they are, and they're not necessarily 100% accurate. So what other methods could you have to measure your body fat percentage, etc., that are an alternative to bathroom scales? You could do things like there's a test called the displacement test, where you float hooked up to a whole heap of sensors, and you float in a big salt water tank, and it measures the amount that your body displaces water and the buoyancy, etc., etc., etc. Now that's a very expensive test, but it also is really, really accurate. That's probably 99.9% accurate, that particular test. Okay, and the next type of test that we can use is called a DEXA scan, and now that's also another scientific test, and it looks a little bit like a big MRI. You lay down, you go through, very similar to MRI, and that it scans the body, and that's also very accurate. That's about 99% accurate to a displacement test. The next one down you've got is bioimpedance scales. Now, bioimpedance scales send a harmless, painless electrical current through the body and measure the resistance of water in the body. So water in your muscles gives a different resistance to water in your fat, and water in your fat gives a different resistance to water in your skeleton, and so on. And so what that means is that the machine can measure those different resistance and therefore calculate how much fat, how much muscle, how much of your skeleton, and work out all those numbers. And where that's important is that you can measure with those scans. Now, those bioimpedance scales are about 99% accurate to a DEXA scan. So it's probably about 97-98% accurate compared to a displacement test. So pretty accurate. So what you're measuring there is that you're measuring your overall mass, but you're also measuring your improvement. Say, for example, you might be trying to increase muscle and lose fat. So you might test once and then you test again in 6 weeks, 12 weeks time, and you can measure, have I increased muscle, have I lost a bit of fat? Or if I haven't, what do I need to change to make that happen? So it's looking at, instead of just an overall mass, what you're actually made up of, okay? And those 3 tests can do that. You can also do caliper tests, so pinch tests. Now, you know, you need to work with somebody who is skilled at operating calipers, because there is a skill to it and a bit of practice, and, you know, it can be hugely inaccurate if the operator's not up to speed with them. I've rarely used calipers ever since school, PT school, because I don't work with athletes. So it's probably more athletes who would use caliper tests, because let's face it, if somebody has a BMI of 40 and they're quite overweight, you don't really need to use calipers to say that, okay, we've got too high a fat percentage. It's more probably the thin edge of the wedge, like athletes who might use skin calipers for testing body fat. So yeah, there's some other means that you could use apart from scales. So okay guys, hope that gives you some information to work with, and we'll talk to you very soon.